Heidi, Dan Matjila blaming political interference for all that instability at the PIC.
Exactly. So, I mean, in his second day of testimony, he basically pinpoints the fact that he had heavy and immense political pressure. He's basically saying that he had political pressure from politicians and various political parties to invest in specific companies. He also mentions the fact that he had people influencing him in very high influential positions to invest in various companies. But what's interesting also is he mentions the fact that people classified the PIC or saw the PIC as a bottomless pit to get funding into various companies. And Matjila saying that in actual fact, people don't understand that the PIC is a highly regulated institution, and there are processes that need to be followed to make sure that the right kind of investments take place. But it was interesting to hear how he said that he had immense political pressure, and he also had pressure from highly influential people. And you know, this, given the fact that he's been implicated by many witnesses throughout this commission, saying that he bent over backwards to make sure that certain investments were done with certain companies, given his relationship with the shareholders of those companies.
Now, often these inquiries feel like an episode of Ghosts of Cabinet Ministers Past. We've all but forgotten that once upon a time Malusi Gigaba was finance minister, and it seems as though there was tension mounting between Dan Matjila and Gigaba at the time.
Most definitely. He says that, you know, when there was a constant reshuffling of cabinet ministers, he knew that that was the start of the instability at the PIC. But he pinpoints that to when Malusi Gigaba became finance minister. He says that's when the instability started at the PIC. But he also mentions the fact that he had some pressure to assign deputy chairpersons within the PIC that was recommended by Malusi Gigaba. He also says that he had immense pressure, or rather he tried to protect the PIC from state capture because he was approached by Trillion and Regiments to invest into those two companies. But he says by all means him and his colleagues tried to make sure that they protected the asset manager from state capture. But he really implicates Malusi Gigaba, saying that you know, the constant reshuffling, there was just constant instability, and he knew that this was going to affect him on a personal level. And just also how the deputy chairpersons was almost forced, he had to be forced to deploy those deputy chairpersons within the PIC.
Now, Dan Matjila went to great lengths, as you just said, to prove that he had the best interests of the PIC at heart. But Jill Marcus questioned whether he did all he could to ensure the integrity of the PIC, didn't she?
Most definitely. I think the Commission needs to make sure that they probe and push on certain questions when it comes to you know, Dan Matjila's testimony, given the fact that he is at the centre of it all. But you know, when he is probed and asked about certain ongoings within the PIC, given the fact that he was the CEO for 4 years, he does mention that he made sure that his values were upheld within the PIC, and he made sure that by all means he protected the PIC and made sure that he followed proper processes. This is completely different to what we've been hearing from over 70 witnesses about how he flouted processes and didn't go according to due diligence. But of course, this is an opportunity for him to give his side of the story and to explain the role that he played, given that he was at the centre of it all.
We'll leave it there for now. ENCA's Heidi Jocos giving us that update. Day 3 of the testimony of a former Public Investment Corporation CEO Dan Matjila expected at that inquiry today.